calm. And today what I wanted to talk about is something I think that is revolutionary and we miss it. It's sort of this secret hidden in plain sight. And it's not a secret that, hey, look what I discovered. This is a secret, a lot of people have discovered. And it's just a different way to read the New Testament, a different way to read about Jesus's life. This is not an argument for or against Jesus's divinity. Like, I believe Jesus was divine. God was skin on, to put it very simply. The Lord, as we would say in the new church. And the other part of that, sort of the going forward to that, is the so what. So what does this actually mean? What was Jesus's concern? Why did he come to earth to do? And obviously, you can get into big theological conversations around salvation and ordering the heavens, etc. That's beautiful stuff. And what does it mean at the ground level? What does it actually mean in our lives? Because salvation is something that's like so esoteric a lot of the time. It's so grand. Like, what does all that mean? So I'm going to ask us just to think about it in this way today. And I want to start out, Jesus's primary concern was, one way to say it, was healing. That was his focus, was healing. Allowing people to come into their best selves. And Jesus saw through a lot of the noise in lives and saw right to that best self. And we see that again and again and again. His great gift of really seeing people and the miracles that occurred because of that. And that sight was just so powerful. And again, we're supposed to, in our own way, very, 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 in a very rudimentary way, as best we can, to very imperfectly mirror that, seeing other people the way Jesus was able to see other people. Will we come close to it? Absolutely not. But can we endeavor that direction? Absolutely so. So that idea, so the primary concern of Jesus was healing, was how do we bring more healing into the world? So part 2 of that is this line where Jesus says, like, I am the gate, only way to get in, and thinking of that, a lot of people interpret that as heaven, is get in, like, I'm the gate, I'm the only way through. And you could look at that within the context of salvation, and there's implications to that, though, right? Like, if Jesus is really the only way, what happens to our Jewish brothers and sisters? For me, literally, what happens to my Jewish brothers and sisters? For others, it might be what happens to your Islamic brothers and sisters, or what happens to your Hindu brothers and sisters, or your agnostic brothers and sisters. I mean, it leaves 90% of the world out in the cold, not able to experience heaven or salvation. That just doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense at all. And so we have to see that thing of gate as in a little different way, and that's this. So Jesus' primary concern is healing. So his primary concern is healing, and here he says, I'm the gate. What's the gate? The gate is not the person. The gate is the way. That's why Christianity was referred to as the way, because it was a way of living. It was a way of connecting. It was a way of loving. Were the beliefs around that? Absolutely. Were the commandments around that? Absolutely. Were there structures around that? Absolutely. Was there a church that formed around that? Absolutely. And all of that was to support this way of living. And this way of living is the way of healing, the way of really finding ourselves coming back to how we were created to be, which is we were created to serve. We're created to take care of other people. We're created to just be part of this life that constantly is doing this, constantly bending outward. Now, to get even more specific on that, if you see the gate, and if the gate is all about just Jesus, belief in Jesus, salvation, just that simple thing. It's the only thing you have to worry about. Well, you can be a pretty big jerk, and that means you're saved, and somebody who's not a jerk over here but happens to be Jewish is not saved. That really does not make sense. So when we trace through that ends up being something where Jesus becomes sort of this deity that all we do is worship. It's just about worship, sort of putting him up on a pedestal, and that's that. But the other way is more an Emmanuel, God with us. Jesus came to this world, said, Emmanuel, God with us, this idea of him walking with us, showing us the way, like literally holding our hand figuratively and walking this way with us. That is much more of the follow me. So instead of worship me, which Jesus never says, not one time does Jesus say worship me. What he says again and again is follow me. And with that following, as we hold him, as we hold his image in our minds, he refers to himself consistently as the Son of Humanity. the Son of Humanity. In other words, I am the child of humanity. It means such a beautiful, humble statement. I mean, we could spend weeks unpacking that. So, so, so important. Yes, there's the Son of God thing, but that's a whole nother can of worms to take a look at. But just stick with what he really said. He really said, follow me. And he consistently referred to himself as the Son of Man, the Son of Humanity might be the way we describe it today. So when we think about that, all right, so let's just pull this all together. So instead of kind of worried about, salvation, let's get our focus a little bit more on healing. Salvation is true, matters, etc., etc. But in our day-to-day lives, healing is what Jesus really wants to bring. So that healing, and with that healing, we come to this gate, and Jesus says, I am the gate. And that gate is this gate of follow me. It's the gate of like, look, this is the gate. You want to enter into this higher stuff. This is the way to do it. And it's not a big set of beliefs, it's actually a lot of action. It's far more orthopraxis than it is orthodoxy. In other words, the right practice versus the right belief. And part of that is where Jesus says, he doesn't ever say worship me, consistently says, follow me. And that's what we do. We humbly follow, we humbly serve, we humbly try to do the very best we can. And the beautiful part, friends, is that we find out who we really are. I mean, there is so much joy in the way. And it's like, if it's just about belief, okay, great, and beliefs are important, but they're not the whole ball of wax. We really want to be around loving people, and we really want to be loving people, and we really need God's help to do those things. And there's so much overwhelming joy. That's why Jesus' promise is not, just I come to bring you joy. No, he says, I come to bring you fullness of joy, the complete thing, the whole thing, not joy by the crumb, but joy by the bushel, just that simple. And that's what we can find as we kind of take that path. So today, be thinking along the lines of healing. Be thinking along the lines of Jesus saying, not worship me, but follow me. Think along the lines of, what does that follow me really, really look like? And how will it look in your life today to live that out and to find healing in that approach? So I hope that makes sense, dear friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. And when we shift gears here at New Church Live, we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to our friends who've joined us on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and a meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's do a little quick look here on Facebook. And again, I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day and have a wonderful day ahead of you. I certainly do like Thursdays because Thursdays is the day where we meet with our sermon writing team. For those of you who don't know, we write everything in the round here at New Church Live. We have a group of volunteers, been showing up for years, and it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun having conversations around sermons. All right, no comments on there. Let's flip on over to here. And take a look. Linda, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. All right, dear friends, again, as always, most of you watch archive. Please feel free to leave a comment. Wonderful to hear what you have to say. For our friends who are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for joining. Again, like and subscribe. Wonderful to have you on board as well. And dear friends, we wish you all